The ground doesn't send a warning you can hear. It doesn't knock on the door or ask for attention. It begins in silence deep beneath the surface where pressure has been building for years, sometimes decades, locked between shifting plates that never truly rest, and then in a moment so brief it feels unreal, that pressure breaks free. At first it's subtle, a faint vibration beneath your feet, a ripple through the floor that makes you pause, not yet afraid, just uncertain. In a country like Japan, that feeling is familiar. People stop mid-step, glance at hanging lights, watch for movement, because here earthquakes are not rare, they are part of life. But this time, something feels different. The shaking doesn't stop, it grows. What begins as a tremor becomes a force. Walls creak, windows rattle. The ground moves not in a single direction, but in waves, violent and unpredictable. Buildings sway like they're breathing, power lines whip against the sky, and within seconds the ordinary world begins to unravel. Phones light up with alerts, sharp, urgent tones. Cut through the noise, early warning systems activate, one of the most advanced in the world, sending signals faster than the quake itself can travel. For some, those few seconds are everything. For others, it's already too late. Because when the earth moves like this, seconds disappear. Inside homes, people drop to the ground, shielding their heads, holding on to whatever feels stable. In offices, workers scramble under desks as ceiling tiles begin to fall. In crowded streets, pedestrians freeze, caught between instinct and disbelief as the ground beneath them refuses to stay still. And then the sound comes. A deep, rolling roar like the earth itself is tearing open. It echoes through cities, across valleys, through mountains. It's not just heard, it's felt, vibrating through bone and air, a reminder that something far beyond human control is unfolding. In coastal regions, another fear begins to rise, because in Japan, an earthquake is rarely just an earthquake, it can be something more. As the shaking continues, sensors deep beneath the ocean floor detect shifts, data flows instantly to monitoring centers, algorithms calculate risk, and within moments another alert spreads, this one colder, heavier, more urgent: tsunami warning. Along the coast, sirens begin to wail, loudspeakers crackle to life, broadcasting instructions that everyone has heard before but hopes never to follow. Move to higher ground, leave everything behind, do not wait. Because the ocean, once disturbed, does not forgive hesitation. Back inland, the shaking reaches its peak. This is the moment where everything is tested: buildings, infrastructure, preparation, human instinct. Japan's cities are designed for this. Skyscrapers flex instead of collapse. Foundations absorb shock. Bridges sway but hold. Decades of engineering, of learning from past disasters, come into play all at once. And still, the power of the quake pushes limits. Glass shatters. Older structures crack. Roads split open in jagged lines, trains grind to emergency stops, entire transportation systems halt in seconds, guided by automated safety systems that activate without human command. It's controlled chaos, because while systems are designed to respond, the human experience cannot be controlled. Fear spreads quickly, not panic but something quieter, deeper, the awareness that for these moments nothing is certain, that the ground itself, the one constant beneath every step, has turned unpredictable. And then, almost as suddenly as it began, the shaking slows, not completely, just enough to breathe, but anyone who has lived through this knows it's not over. Aftershocks follow, they always do. Smaller, sometimes weaker, but often strong enough to cause additional damage, to trigger landslides, to push already weakened structures past their breaking point, each one a reminder that the earth is still settling, still adjusting, still releasing energy. Minutes pass, then more. People begin to move cautiously, carefully, checking surroundings, calling out to loved ones, reaching for phones, only to find networks overloaded, signals struggling under the weight of millions trying to connect at once. Emergency services activate immediately. Firefighters, police, medical teams all moving with precision, trained for this exact moment. Command centers coordinate responses across regions. Drones lift into the air to assess damage. Helicopters sweep over affected areas, searching for signs of collapse, fire, flooding, because now the second phase begins: assessment, understanding what just happened, how strong it was, where it hit hardest, and what comes next. In coastal towns, the race against time intensifies. People move uphill, on foot, by car, by any means available. Some carry children, others elderly relatives. Some carry nothing at all because there is no time for anything but survival. The ocean begins to change. It pulls back in unnatural silence, water receding, exposing parts of the seabed rarely seen. Boats tilt awkwardly, fish flap on wet sand. It's a sight that might seem fascinating if it weren't so dangerous, because when the ocean pulls away like this, it's not retreating, it's preparing, and then on the horizon it appears, a line, not a wave in the traditional sense, but a wall, low at first, then growing, building momentum as it moves closer, fast, relentless, carrying with it everything in its path. By the time it reaches the shore, there is no stopping it. Water crashes into a land with immense force, flooding streets, sweeping vehicles, breaking structures that stood strong moments before. It doesn't move like water, it moves like power, unstoppable, reshaping everything it touches. And just like that, the disaster becomes to earth and water. Back inland, damage reports begin to emerge. Some areas report minor impacts, others face significant destruction. It's uneven, unpredictable, because earthquakes don't follow patterns humans can fully control. In one neighborhood, buildings stand intact. In another, walls have crumbled. In one city, power flickers back within minutes. In another, darkness settles in. Hospitals switch to emergency protocols. Backup generators activate. Medical teams prepare for incoming injuries, some minor, others critical. Every second matters now, not just for rescue, but for treatment. Because survival doesn't end when the shaking stops, it continues in the hours that follow. Families search for each other. Names are called out across debris. Social media becomes a lifeline. Messages sent and received. Small confirmations of safety that mean everything in a moment like this. I'm okay. Where are you? Please reply. And somewhere in the middle of it all, there are those who don't respond yet. Rescue teams move into affected zones quickly, trained to navigate unstable structures, to listen for signs of life beneath rubble, to act without hesitation. Every sound matters, a tap, a voice, even silence in the wrong place, because time is the most critical factor. The first 24 hours, that's when the chances of survival are highest, and everyone knows it. As night approaches, the situation becomes more complex. Darkness limits visibility, temperatures drop, the risk of fire increases as gas lines rupture, electrical systems fail, and small sparks turn into spreading flames. Fire crews respond immediately, but access can be difficult. Roads blocked, debris everywhere. Coordination becomes essential, every unit working in sync, every decision calculated. Meanwhile, aftershocks continue, some mild, some strong enough to send people running again, to remind everyone that stability has not yet returned. Sleep becomes impossible. Even in safe areas, people remain alert, waiting, listening for the next movement, because once you feel the ground betray you like that, it's hard to trust it again. Hours turn into a day, then another. The scale of the disaster becomes clearer. Images begin to circulate, captured by drones, satellites, cameras on the ground. They show a country that has prepared for this moment better than almost any other, and yet still faces the overwhelming power of nature. Collapsed structures, flooded streets, communities changed in minutes, and yet alongside those images, something else appears: order, coordination, resilience. People line up calmly for supplies. Volunteers distribute water, food, blankets. Shelters open, providing safety and structure in a moment of uncertainty. There is no chaos in the traditional sense because preparation runs deep here. This is a country that has faced this before, learned from it, adapted to it. But even with all that preparation, the emotional impact remains. The quiet moments where people sit, processing what just happened, looking at what remains, thinking about what was lost, hoping for what can still be saved. Because beyond the infrastructure, beyond the systems, beyond the engineering, there are lives, stories, memories, all affected in ways that numbers can't fully capture. And as recovery begins, the focus shifts again from immediate survival to rebuilding. Assessments turn into plans. Damage reports become blueprints for repair. Governments mobilize resources. International support may arrive. Experts analyze data, looking for lessons, improvements, ways to reduce impact next time, because there will be a next time. That's the reality of living on shifting ground. But each time, something changes. Something improves, something strengthens, and that's the story that continues beyond the quake itself. Not just destruction, but response. Not just fear, but resilience. Because even when the earth moves, even when the ocean rises, even when everything feels uncertain, there is something that holds: a system built on preparation, a society built on awareness, and people who, even in the face of something this powerful, find a way to stand again, not immediately, not easily, but inevitably, because in Japan the ground may shake, but the will to rebuild does not.